Hi, welcome. Today we're going to talk about my method and especially about the inner voice triangle. I found the inner voice triangle when I was sitting in my couch and just was daydreaming. And I felt a little bit like Einstein. Eureka! I thought of it and it was just like, yes, this makes a lot of sense. And I was writing it down and I kept coming towards a lot new things. For example, the things already existed, like feminine energy, masculine energy, like everything fits in this framework, in this method. And if you understand this, this will actually make a lot of sense. And I believe that if you understand this and if you manage this, if you got this, you can become very rich, very wealthy, because if you can control your mind, you can control everything in the most possible way, you know. So today we will dive into the triangle. I can say a lot of this about this triangle, a lot about this method. But today we are going to dive into the triangle, and I will explain in other videos specific parts of the triangle because you can dive really deep into this. So this is the first time that I'm doing it with a board that I am writing on a board, and I'm really excited because I've thought about it for a long time. And yesterday I was actually in the gym in our house, in Dylan's house, and I saw this board standing there, and I was like, I'm going to write something on this board. I want to write out this inner voice triangle again, and I was thinking maybe I should make a video of it. So today I went for it and I will be making a video about it. So the inner voice triangle. So it's new for me. Excuse me if I don't use it well, but I guess it will be fine. I love to teach, so. Let's start with the names of the triangle, because we have three categories. And I will explain later to you in which category you can handle best. Also, something I want to tell you is that you don't have to push away one of the voices. So we are going to talk about the three different voices, and you don't have to push away any of the voices. It's not possible. You cannot push away one of these voices because it makes you human and spiritually connected. So you cannot push away any voice. So the first voice is the inner wisdom. And you can also call it your intuition, your higher self, the connection to source, to the universe. You can call it however you want. You can call it God if you want to, because we're connected to God, to the universe, to your higher self. And I believe that you are God, that we are all a part of God, that we are all a part of the universe. We carry it in ourselves. So you can call it however you want to. So this is the part of you that you are experiencing inside of your head when you're aligned, when you're doing everything out of balance, when you're just living your life and just not thinking too much, and etc. So this is balanced energy. This is neutral. It's a very neutral part. It will never criticize something. It will never be emotional. It's just neutral. It can see everything in a neutral way. Even when two people are arguing. Yes, you get what I mean. Even when people do that, this part can go stand between it and can see it in a neutral way. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's balanced energy. What I mean by that, it will become obvious when I write these two down. Yeah. Another thing is, let me think. Yesterday I wrote a lot more. Balanced energy. It's neutral. Yeah, I will leave it to that for now. Okay, I will go to the other voice, to another voice. The next voice is the inner critic. And a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners have a loud inner critic. Because the critic is always pushing you. The critic is always trying to manage things, to control things, to make sure that you are doing enough, to make sure that you are pushing hard enough, to achieve things, to make sure you are pushing and going somewhere. So the inner critic is very overactive. It wants to keep you overactive. It's the masculine energy. Yeah, I will leave it for that, to that right now, and I will go deeper into the next few moments. Then I go to the last voice, the inner. I want you to guess. Pause the video and guess which voice, and leave it in the comments if you've guessed. Okay. The inner child. The inner child. This one is passive and feminine energy. And these two I also call your ego or humanity. So these two makes you human. These two are making you human. These two are your ego, because when you're not in balance, when you're out of balance and you're doing things out of balance, these two are very loud. And these two will constantly be discussing things. For example, I will go to the examples later, but these two always they're not being on the same page. Because the inner critic wants to go forward, is active, it wants to go straight to the goal. The inner child is passive. So the inner child needs space, I need to lay down, I don't want to do anything. And that's also what happens when you're out of balance, when you're not connected to yourself. When you're connected to yourself, you will meet the inner wisdom. because everything will be balanced. When you're not balanced, you are in your inner critic or your inner child. You're in your feminine energy, overly in your feminine energy, you know? When you're too long in a certain energy, it becomes unbalanced. So you need to go back to the balanced state. And I will go over again the examples in a few minutes. But these two make you human, because these two are full of emotion, full of earth vibes. Because the inner critic, we have learned criticism out of our parents, school teachers, the environment you grew up. And these are thoughts that you've heard as a child or as a young adult out of your parents or your school teachers. And it can be thoughts like, keep going. Maybe your dad told you, are you a pussy? But it's also ADHD. It's also overthinking. We'll leave this here. And maybe when you get your results back, when you get your numbers back on school, there was always like a certain criticism on it, you know, and it can make you go into your inner critic. You carry the criticism around you. Then we are going to the inner child. The inner child can be thoughts like, I'm not feeling like it. Or I'm tired. Or I'm overwhelmed. It's too much. Sorry for my writings. It's too much. Can you see that these two are the opposite of each other? And also, look, I'm going to explain something, and I'm going to explain what a burnout is. A burnout is when you have been very, very long in your inner critic, in your masculine energy, overactive. So a lot of people are operating out of the inner critic because our society is built around the inner critic, is built around overactive, being very active, pushing through, keep going, we need to keep going. The masculine energy. So a lot of people have been living inside of this because we grow up with this vision. We need to keep going. We need to do our best more. We need to all constantly improve ourselves. So, your body is a very wise instrument. So your body, when your body finally has enough, it will bring itself back to balance. Which means, if you've been too long here, it will automatically go to this inner child, feminine energy, passive. A burnout is going from this side to that side. Your body will literally shut down. You cannot do anything anymore. So when you're in a burnout, You're tired. You're overwhelmed. It's been too much. You're not feeling like it anymore. You're like, I cannot do this anymore. And what happens is that when you're after a burnout, you're going back to this. So you're going back to a neutral state, to a balanced energy. And what is happening when you're going back to your normal life, when you're going back to your job and doing the normal stuff, you're going back to this. And then you can make a circle. This is what happens to a lot of people. So you can do so much about this, because if you become aware of these voices inside of your head, you can go back to a neutral state, to balanced energy, because you can choose something else. You can change your perspective around how you view these things. You can change who you are. You can change and you can choose not to go in the overactive state. You can choose to go and balance yourself when you're in this state. So when you're not balancing yourself, life will balance it for you. Your body will balance it for you. And I believe that if you want to become very rich, very successful, very wealthy, if you master this, you can go there without losing yourself, without over pushing yourself. So it can become sustainable. It can become what is yours, you know? It can become you. You can carry it everywhere with you. Because what you see with a lot of people who are in the inner critic, it's like they build. They build something, they earn a lot, they get a lot, and they will eventually lose it because it comes from an imbalanced state. If you do it from this side, nothing will going to happen. There is nothing that is going to happen because you're passive. But what I guarantee you is that when you're operating out of this state, you will always eventually go to this state. So what happens is you build, but there will get a crash point. So you go to this state and lose everything. Because you're not doing things out of groundedness. You're not doing things out of calmness. And I will tell you more about what your brain is telling you when you're in this state, because it's very important to recognize the thoughts that are coming with this voice, the inner wisdom. The inner wisdom is calm. So it is saying things like, I feel, it is not necessarily saying things, but it's more like feeling. I feel calm while I move. I can see things clearly. I feel calm. I feel trust in myself, in me. I feel trust in general. You feel very trustworthy inside of you, in you, in the universe, in life, in everything. Can you see and feel how this is balanced, and this is always to one of the sides? yeah. Is there anything that I would like to share more? Because I can dive really deep into this. What I was saying is that when you are operating out of this inner wisdom, you will become, or you will get so much further. And now you can say, well, okay, now, how? How do I need to live out of this inner wisdom? Well, that is something that I will explain to you in another video, because this is the inner voice triangle. This is where it's built around. But I also have a method around this triangle. How you can get back to the balanced state when you're out of balance. You see? Oh yeah! We are going to go a little more deeper. So basically, these voices is your nervous system talking to you. So sometimes for me, I feel like, why is it so difficult for my body to talk to me? Because, our body don't have words it can use, but actually it does. This is your nervous system talking to you, literally. So this is how it communicates to you. So you always need to slow down. It's always the first thing you have to do when you're out of balance. You need to slow down. You need to get a bigger view, helicopter view, But if you're too long in this state, you also will become depressed, because we need to move. People need to create things. You will become very unhappy because you're just standing still, and that's the thing. We need to be in balance. We need to feel calm while we move. If that is not happening, you will become unhappy. If it's in this side or in that side. And I can give you an example. Like I told you, most of the entrepreneurs are living inside of this state. But a lot of people who have lived a long time in this state are living in this state because they are afraid of going back to this state. And what happens is they are not happy. They are again not happy in this state. So they feel like, I want to do things, but I cannot get myself to it. And what you also see a lot of the times is that their body is in shutdown, but their mind is still here, and they are constantly like, okay, gas pedal, brake, gas pedal, brake. Because the subconscious mind is not going with you. You can dive so deep into this. And when your subconscious mind is still in a certain belief system that is keeping you here, because these thoughts are coming from somewhere, and these thoughts are inside your subconscious mind because you believe things about yourself that are keeping you somewhere, So a lot of people are constantly shaking or balancing themselves between, are you a pussy? Keep going. And when they're pushing too hard, it's like, I'm not feeling like it today. I need to rest. I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. I did too much. So I need to step down for a little while. And there's nothing wrong with periods of time where you are pushing yourself more, because that's what it is. That's what life is. That's what entrepreneurship is. But if you're not aware of this, you will be constantly exhausted. You will, and even if it's not, it's just, if it's on a deeper layer. You know, you will recognize it within yourself when you're feeling this. It doesn't need to be very obvious, you know. You know something, that you know sometimes that there is something wrong, and you can feel it when you're between these two. And you can also very clearly feel it when you're in this state, because we also call it flowing and like aligned, living aligned. You're living in alignment because you're in balance. Your energy is in balance. You move while you're calm. You can see clearly. You know what to do. You feel trust. You feel that it's all coming together. So I think that makes very, very much sense. So I will leave it to this, and I will dive deeper into each voice, and I will also dive deeper into the method itself, because it's so important to go back to this one if you're in the inner critic or in the inner child. Every state of your nervous system has a voice. It has a voice. And the voice will show you where you're at. It will show you where you're at, and it will show you very clearly, actually, through your thoughts, what you have to do next. But that is something that I will explain in the next video. That is where the method is about. So, I hope this makes sense, because I wrote a lot. Let me know what you think. Let me know if anything has become clearer, because to me this has explained so much to me. And this is something that I work with daily. This is something that I work with my clients. And when they get this, and when I get this, when I look into it myself, when I'm getting things in my head, like thoughts in my head, it helps me so much to get back to the inner wisdom, because I can clearly see in which state I am and what I need to do. So I would recommend you using this daily. And I will get back to you with the next video. If you know someone that has a lot of these thoughts, I'm not feeling like it, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I'm always overwhelmed, I cannot handle this, it's too much, or keep going, are you a pussy, you need to keep going, that is overthinking, that has a lot of ADHD problems, please show this video to them. It will make a lot of sense. Yeah, I need to end this because I want to talk about it for hours, but I will do that in the next video. Thank you for listening, for watching, and I see you then. Bye.